Welcome to Application, the Typo 3 Community Podcast. 1, 2. Welcome to Application, the Typo 3 Community Podcast. I'm Jeffrey A. McGuire. You can call me Jam. And this is where we celebrate the Typo 3 community, sharing your stories, talking about your projects and the difference you make in, around, and with Typo 3 CMS. In this episode of Application, the Typo 3 Community Podcast, I speak with Patrick Gaumond, who has been proudly flying the Typo 3 flag in far away from me, Quebec City, Canada since March 27th, 2003. Patrick is the technical lead on Québec.ca, the official government website of the French-speaking Canadian province. During the pandemic, that means Patrick is in charge of the website that is the source for official COVID-19 related information for the population of Quebec. And it's been getting 1 million or more hits a day with no downtime at all during the pandemic. This defines and encapsulates the term mission-critical website for me. We talked about how and why he chose Typo 3 in the early 2000s, and why he's stayed with it all this time. He said he chose it because it meant he would never have to say no to a feature request from his boss, and he says it remains true to this day. Patrick was the driving force between Typo 3 being adopted by the Quebecois government back in 2004 and 5, and Quebec runs more than 50 official web properties on Typo 3 in 2021. And even though he says he's not very good at playing all the instruments surrounding him in his home studio office, he is the composer of our exceptional, quirky, fun theme music. Thank you, Maestro, for your musical contribution to the Typo 3 community. I hope you all enjoy listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed speaking with Patrick to make it. So, are you in Montreal?
No, I'm in Quebec City.
Quebec City.
That's yes. It's about 2 hours from Montreal by car.
Uh-huh.
And it's almost a 100% French city.
Oh, yes.
So it's very different from Montreal for that. Montreal is about almost 3 million people. If you take, Montreal as the whole region.
Mm-hmm.
And Quebec is about 500,000 people. But mostly speaking French.
Right. So
I speak English about 1 week a year. I don't have to speak English at all. If it was not for Typo 3, I would not. There's that, and also a musical camp I go near New York, but that's the only time I speak in English.
Huh. That's But I mean, life is nice that way, and there's a lot of languages out there. So, what's the capital of Quebec?
Quebec City.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
That's the capital, and that's why the government, the main government buildings and different organisms are in Quebec City. And since I work for the government, it's only logical that I'm in Quebec City too.
Sure, of course. So, you are French Canadian, and you have been doing Typo 3 for a very long time. And one of the reasons that I wanted to talk with you is because I'm very interested in where Typo 3 is outside of Europe right now. And I'm very, very interested in spreading the word to other places. And since you're such a strong proponent and such a long-time community member, I'm really looking forward to talking with you about your history in the project and what you do with it now, and a potentially little-known outpost of the Typo 3 world in French-speaking Canada. How is it that you found Typo 3 the first time, and when was that?
It was exactly March 27, 2003 that I download Typo 3.
What time was it?
Yes. Maybe around 10, I don't know. But it's important because, Typo 3 changed my life. It's as simple as that. I had to do I was working for the business school at Laval University in Quebec City. And I was going crazy because the websites at that time were all made, by hand. So each section of the website was a different color, different, some students prefer green and some students prefer, or so it was really a mess. And I had to do a new image for the website of the business school. So I decided to look. I asked my boss, give me 2 weeks so I can find a product to make our new website and using database. That was my main point, was to use database, because I find files was a bit awkward and a bit passe. So what I had my 2 weeks. I can't remember all the different CMS I checked at that time, but Typo 3 was one of them, and I remember taking the decision to go with that product. And the reasoning behind the decision was very simple. I didn't want to say no to my boss when he asked for a feature. That was really the main reason. I was protecting my own ass, if you want. So 17 years later, and the decision is still the right one for me. So that's why I chose Typo 3 at that time. And I can tell you that in 2003, having a website, and we launched the new site that was 400 pages. And 2 months later, there was, I think, 1,000 pages, all done by a single person.
Wow.
And, yes. I mean, for the content of the website.
Mm-hmm.
We were only 2 technical people for the whole website at that time. And the thing is that people call me and write email to me on the campus, because at that time it was very, very there was very seldom website that were constant, visually constant, from one page to the other.
Right.
At that time, for the same reason, we rebuilt it from the ground up. So I got called from colleagues and people working in other faculty to ask, what's the voodoo you did, so you have a website that is constant everywhere and it works, and because you're in the student section, it's blue everywhere. You go to the teachers section, it's green and stuff like that. And it was really something else at that time. And so I started doing demo over the campus, and people adopt Typo 3 in many places.
Nice.
So I'm almost doing you my how I get into Typo 3 presentation.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, I can talk. I did training for a whole week, so I can talk to Typo 3 about Typo 3 for a week, no problem.
Nice. Okay.
You have to stop me.
I'll order a pizza at some point, but otherwise,
So the thing I did also was to I've heard of the T3 board conference at that time. Knowing it was, yes, but at that time it was really, that's how I sold my participation to get my plane ticket from the union at the Laval University. And it for me it was really, yes, snowboard and ski during the day, but computers, IT stuff, Typo 3 in the night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not your usual conference at that time, but
it's actually it's a brilliant format. And I mean, right now, none of us can really go anywhere and do anything. We are talking in, October of 2020. So whenever you're listening to this, we're talking in the middle of a pandemic and it's getting worse again, and we're not really able to travel much. But it's funny, the idea of going to an interesting place with actual non-tech activities and combining that with a tech conference is actually, I think especially because we care about the human relationships in open source so much, I'm sort of surprised that more people didn't do that sort of a thing. I do know there was a couple of Drupal events where they went surfing, I think, along the way, but I also had the feeling that was more of an excuse for a holiday. So I don't know. Anyway, worth thinking about if we can ever have events again.
Sure, and it's also, it's the first time I met Casper, and it really makes me want to use and promote Typo3 even more after that event, and so it was really worth it. And one of the things, I'm very proud of my city and my culture, so I invited Casper to Quebec City, and he did. In October 2004, he went in Quebec City and he did a presentation. We did some kind of special CMS day, and there was people from the government in the audience, and that's the beginning of Typo3 at Quebec's government.
Right.
And it goes up to me still working with Typo3 today, because it was a huge success in Quebec government. I mean, there's more than 50 websites done in Typo3 for the government of Quebec. So
still today,
that's why I'm still there. Yes.
Nice. Is it the main CMS for the Quebec government?
Well, I don't have current numbers. As for the question about the Typo3 in Canada, I really can't answer. I think no one can really answer that. I know that Canada.ca, I think it's made with Drupal and other stuff, but sure, I think that in North America, WordPress and Drupal are the main CMSs.
Sure.
And then you have stuff like the one from Adobe and some others. But in Quebec, because it started early in 2005 for the government, it's still there. And when they had to make a decision for the new website, which is Québec.ca, they choose Typo3 and hired me.
Nice.
That was the beginning, and the end is right now. It's the main website for the government of Quebec is still in Typo3.
In 2003, on March 27, what version of Typo3 was it that you downloaded?
The version was 3.5 at the moment.
3.5, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I can't recall, was the official extension framework already there in 3.5? I think it was.
Yeah, the Typo3 extension repository was existing. There was also the tutorial Casper wrote was the modern template building. And also, one of the reasons I think that I was able to choose Typo3 at that time was that there was a website that refreshed itself every 2 hours or something like that, where you could, log into the backend, do some stuff, try the product. So at that time, it was helpful because you didn't have to install it yourself to try it.
Right, there was a demo site up. Yep.
That makes a difference. And, seeing all the, I would say, forward thinking of Casper into, extensions, and you can always change a default value that you don't like or you need to change. I see all that, and for me, if you ask me, you didn't, can you talk about Typo3 with just one word? My answer is flexibility. The flexibility makes it very, very interesting for me. As it's the same thing that I said earlier when I said it's about saying not saying no to my boss. I mean, if it's flexible enough, if you all the back end stuff you can do, hide fields that are not necessary, or if you can have the HTML editor change for people doing news, where you just give permission for italic and bold stuff like that, and you can go full editor for people with more skills, or that's a flexibility that you don't see in many products. So right now, the website I work for has more than 175 editors.
Wow,
And
that's a lot.
They are in different agencies and different government agencies. So everybody has different needs, and the flexibility once again made it very easy to make sure that people can do their work.
When you have new people coming to work on the site or work on one of your sites, and maybe they haven't worked in a Typo 3 backend before, how quick and easy is it to show them how to use the interface? And would you say people enjoy using that backend on every day?
Yeah, well, I do. I used to do training, and it's usually a day or less to do the whole training. In my past life, I did also. Usually, editors, the maximum I ever did was 2 days for the editors, and when I had to do 2 days, it was really different people. I mean, having almost issues with the mouse.
Okay.
to two developers. So I had all kind of people, but usually actually not the back end that is the main problem. The main problem of Typo 3 from my point of view is workspace. Workspaces, it's a bit hard, and it's a bit that's a place that Typo 3 needs more love.
Now there are people investing in that right now, quite heavily, and putting sort of full-time developer resources towards that. So I think it's going to get better.
It's a place where flexibility is almost too much. I mean, each TT content can be put in the workspace or not, and stuff like that. So it's almost too much. People just want their page to publish. That's it. They don't want all the details. They don't. So it's a bit overcomplicated for most of the people.
But that use case of having your live site and then being able to create different versions of content and get them approved or work on them before they go live is pretty important for governments, for example, or for anyone with policies and auditing standards. You've got a room full of musical instruments there, don't you? What's your hobby? It must be stamp collecting, right?
No, no. I would say even if I got many guitars up there, I can show you a few and some of my stuff. And also, but the thing is, I'm not very good at any of these. I just like to play. I just like to do my own music. I don't play music from others usually. And my latest hobby is related. I'm doing pedals.
Oh, are you're building them?
Guitar effects.
Nice.
So I made some. I don't.
And you made all of those?
So yes, those,
wow.
And some are missing. I'm about 25 or something right now.
Nice. And which is your favorite?
That's my new hobby.
Which is your favorite instrument, and which is your favorite pedal?
Okay. Favorite instrument is the guitar.
But which one? That one?
That's my latest. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Beautiful.
It's a Bernie, and what is special is it has a sustainer pickup,
Mm-hmm.
and sustainer pickup is it's just a switch, and it creates electromagnetic field and make the string resonate. So I need there's a battery,
Mm-hmm.
9-volt battery there, so I can do the just pluck the string and go take a beer,
And
come
it'll
back,
just play.
it will still be playing.
Nice.
So, and for the pedal, well, so many to choose from. Maybe. Well, there's that one. Sorry, it was plugged. This one is it's a big muff,
Yeah.
but Robert Fripp is my favorite living guitarist. So it's the pedal he used in 1973. That explained the name. So I just had to do a clone of that pedal. And the other one would be this one that I already showed. It's
Right.
It's a acoustic electronic harmonizer. It's an effect used by Frank Zappa in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird kind of pedal, and it's
nice. Yeah. I like Frank Zappa a lot. I'm not a hugely knowledgeable, but I've listened to a lot of his records. I also really like King Crimson, so there you go, right?
Yeah.
Boy, now I'm distracted. Hey, so officially, I don't have a theme song yet. You want to do the theme song for the Typo 3 podcast?
No problem. Just tell me how long you want it. Do you want it guitar oriented, synth oriented, heavy, smooth?
Okay, all right. I'll tell you. I've got the words. I've got a tempo, and I will tell you, and then we'll do a special extra conversation about the theme song if we get there. Awesome.
No problem.
See, I knew. I'm so glad I'm talking with you. It's fantastic. So
wow, and for King Crimson, I go to the King Crimson camp in New York every summer.
Wow.
Except that year, I've been there 5 times. I made that's a ukulele fretless
bass, right?
Bass with kind of weird, strange strings, and it's powered. I mean, you can.
Wow.
And it's really huge, and it's signed by Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, and Pat Mastoletto.
Wow. You have some fun, crazy stuff there. So I think we were supposed to be talking about, what was it? So
okay, yeah. Back to Typo 3.
Exactly. I know that you've said that you chose Typo 3 because you have never had to say no, or you never wanted to say no to any feature request, right? And that it's really flexible. So I guess I have a couple questions about that. What's the coolest or the most interesting thing you've ever built with it?
Yeah, well, it's Québec.ca, and if you go there, it's the main site for the government of Quebec, and for the last 2 years, we launched it in June 2018, and it's all the infrastructure is all on Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Service, and it's pretty solid, and the whole setup is very, very interesting. I mean, we got Aurora database instead of MySQL, but it's the same. We got CloudFront, and we got with the pandemic you talked about. We're now the center of the universe for the government about the COVID-19. So yeah, we get very important traffic on the website. So all the infrastructure had to keep up with the demand, because right now we're about almost 1 million page view every day.
Ooh.
So yeah,
And
I
wait,
just checked the number.
So every person in Quebec is clicking on the website twice?
It's more than that. We got 8 million people in the whole province.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we got, since March, we got about 125 million page views. We had, our record is a bit more than 4 million page view in a single day in March. And we didn't add any problem. It was really rock solid, and we can take even more because we use all the elastic facilities. We servers are added once we reach 30% of CPU or 30% of memory. We add server every time we reach that point. And if the traffic goes down, we just kill the servers to keep them to the minimum viable.
And Typo 3 is handling all of that just fine too.
Totally, and it's we can put the excuse me, sometimes I have to think about English terms because I never use the terms in English. So every time we go in production, we put our code in production. We can do that, in the middle of the day. Maybe many people will be afraid to put new code in production on a Friday, but we do that every time. And without my desire would be to do it at 4 o'clock on a Friday. We didn't. I think 2 p.m. was our maximum, but it's close enough for me. And we're at more than 100, and I think 128 production push. We did git push to the old website, because when we push in production, we recreate all the servers, all the excuse me, all the servers, Apache,
everything,
all the code, everything is built from the ground up. We install, and the new server are put behind the active one. After 1 minute, without any error, we kill the current working ones, and they are replaced with new one. And we do that any time of the day, no problem. People still working. It's really totally transparent. We don't have to ask permission to it.
No doubt. There's no downtime. There's no content freeze. There's none of that.
There has been no downtime in the last 6 months, and even more than that. But since the pandemic, the server are just working and doing their job.
That's what we want in the end, and especially when you're responsible. When you're responsible for an essential public service, even more than usual. It's good to know that you got that sorted out, and it's gonna be there for everybody. It's great.
Yes. So,
without saying flexibility, what's your favorite feature of Typo 3?
I think the TCE form, the fact that you can really, tailor the backend for your editors, is something very, very important, because in the front end everything is possible, and you can always do some hackish JavaScript stuff if there's something not working like you want. But the back end is really where you have a direct conversation with the people using it. So having to be able to tailor the interface for the users, which you can talk to them and you have to train them.
Yeah.
So all of this, for me, it's really, I know that I can get rid of all the annoyance except workspaces.
Okay.
We're back to that.
In the great open source tradition, if you complain about it, you're going to have to go and fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm the first guy that wants, all everything we develop. I would like it to be on tear, but on the Typo 3 extension repository. But on the other hand, I'm always in a rush and always having pressure from political, and so it's really, really hard, even just sharing our templates.
Yeah.
Simple stuff is it's really hard to just get your, I don't know if the expression exists in English, just get your hand out of the water.
Yeah, sure.
To breathe. So it's really challenging to, but everything every time we think it could be worth it, we try to do it. I mean, one of the extension we did, we work on it. It's called, I think, additional scheduler.
Mm-hmm.
So it's jobs for the scheduler, and one of them is the ability to do SQL queries, and you can have the result in an email.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's pretty convenient because we didn't have time to have a backend module to get our comments. Those are the footer of the pages, where people can say, oh yeah, it was useful or not. And so we simply send emails with the comments and the statistics from them. But the extension was very handy, but it has also the problem that it was not doing files. So the export, even if you have I don't know 1,000 lines, was inside the email body. So we did add the possibility to have a CSV file attached instead.
Perfect.
And also the every time you wanted to have a different email title, you had to do a new a fluid template. So it's not very convenient. So we end up with many emails with just additional scheduler email or something like that as the title of the email. So we did the modification to add the title, even the body text you can change, CSV, and we just did a pull request to the official author of the original extension, and he did use it. We had a few back and forth for the code, or how to do things, but in a week it was done, and it's been there for almost a year now.
Perfect.
And that's totally in line with my philosophy to share, because the Typo 3 motto is I live by that. I mean, I've shared my knowledge, I've shared my passion for Typo 3 for more than 15 years, and I still continue. So,
right.
Yeah.
Inspiring people to share.
Yes.
So I'm doing a thing on the podcast called the Suggest a Guest, and I would like you to tell me who you'd like to hear me speaking with on another podcast.
Yeah, well, my first idea would be to try to get Philippe Piquete. Philip is he works for, he owns Tomorrow, and Tomorrow is one of the main provider of Typo 3 services in Quebec City.
Mm-hmm.
And it's his team that did the initial Amazon infrastructure for us. Because at that time, when we start Québec.ca, we were only 2 technical people on the team. It's very small team for such a huge website. So we needed help for the initial setup, and so he could talk, all the bits and bits for the whole setup on Amazon. And I know they have other clients too. So that would be the first person I think of.
Sounds like a great idea. 17 years of Typo 3 since March 27, 2003. Congratulations. That's but it's fantastic, and I think that the fact that people gave us tools like this to use, and then we can build our lives around them and help other people, and you can help your entire province with the critical information. It's an amazing story of technology doing really good things in the world, and I really like being part of that sort of activity and a movement and a philosophy. So thank you for all your contribution and all your enthusiasm. Hopefully we'll be able to meet in person sometime, but certainly not going to be anytime soon. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me. I will write you an email now, very short, with my thoughts about the podcast theme song. And then, maybe we can make that happen. That would be really, really fun. A community theme song for a community podcast. That would be super cool.
It will be my pleasure to participate. I like sharing. I told you.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. Patrick, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right. Take care.
See you.
Thanks to the Typo 3 Association for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you B13 and Stephanie Kreutzer for our logo. Merci beaucoup Patrick Gaumond, Typo 3 developer and musician extraordinaire, for our theme music. Thanks again to today's guest. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe in the podcast app of your choice and share Application, the Typo 3 community podcast, with your friends and colleagues. If you didn't like it, please share it with your enemies. Would you like to play along and suggest a guest for the podcast? Do you have questions or comments? Reach out to us on Twitter at Typo3Podcast. You can find show notes, links, and more information in our posts on typo3.org. Remember, open source software would not be what it is without you. Thank you all for your contributions.
Hello.
Do you play the sitar?
I play everything I can my hand onto.
Wow. Nice.